Good evening and welcome to our confession corner, the quiet space where souls quietly bleed their truths. 7 years. 7 years of marriage that I once believed were built on rock-solid love. 7 years during which I poured out my youth, my savings, my every waking dream into a home and a family I thought was mine. And then, in one Atlanta summer afternoon soaked in thunder and betrayal, the same man whose chest I used to fall asleep on handed me divorce papers with the cold precision of someone returning a library book that had expired. His name is Julian Lockwood. Mine is Maya von Lockwood, at least for a few more hours. The rain was hammering the tall windows of our Buckhead house, like it wanted to break in and witness the execution. Julian sat across from me on the charcoal leather, sectional we had chosen together. During our 3rd year of marriage, he clicked his Mont Blanc pen once, twice, then set it down on the glass coffee table with surgical finality. The sound still rings in my memory like a gavel. Sign it. No preamble. No, I'm sorry. No explanation longer than 5 words. This house is in my name. The cars are in my name. You came with nothing, Maya. It's cleaner if you leave with nothing. In consideration of the years we spent together, I'll give you enough for a deposit on a small apartment and a few months to find work. Every sentence landed like a closed fist. I stared at the signature, fresh, black, confident, and felt something inside my ribcage quietly fracture. I had met Julian when I was 20. He was 23, fresh from a small Alabama town, working entry-level at a mid-size real estate brokerage, wearing the same 2 suits on rotation. I had just opened my first boutique after scraping together a small business loan and every cent of my savings. We fell in love the old-fashioned way, late-night talks over cheap coffee, shared dreams about one day, promises whispered under streetlights. I believed every word. When my boutiques started growing, 3 locations in 4 years, then loyal high-end clientele, I never treated the money as mine. It was ours. When Julian's parents' old wooden house in the country was literally leaking during rainstorms, I didn't hesitate. I pulled $480,000 from my accounts. We built them a solid 3-story brick home. The day we handed over the keys, his mother, Mrs. Beatrice Lockwood, held my hands and cried, calling me daughter for the first time. I believed her tears. When Sienna, Julian's younger sister, dreamed of studying fashion marketing in London, but the family could not afford it, I again opened my wallet. 4 years. Tuition, accommodation, flights, pocket money. I cut vacations, jewelry, designer bags for myself so Sienna could have the life she wanted. The day she graduated, she hugged me and said, "You're the sister I never had." I believed that too. Now the same Sienna had returned from Europe polished, sharp-edged, dripping in quiet contempt. And Julian, the man who once cried when I had a fever, looked at me like I was an expired coupon. "Why?" My voice cracked on the single word. He gave a short, tired exhale, the kind you give when someone is being unreasonable. "You don't fit anymore, Maya. Sienna introduced me to people, new circles, opportunities, a life that actually matches where I'm going now. There's no place in that life for someone who's comfortable staying small. Comfortable staying small." The phrase entered my bloodstream like poison. Before I could answer, the living room door opened. Mrs. Beatrice walked in wearing cream silk pajamas, holding a paper fan as though this were a casual Sunday afternoon and not the public beheading of my marriage. She glanced at the papers, then at me. "Sign it already. Keeping a barren woman in this house is just wasting oxygen. 7 years, not 1 child. What exactly are you holding on to?" Barren. The word she knew would hurt most. We had seen 7 specialists. Every test came back normal. Unexplained infertility, they called it. Julian used to hold me at night and swear it didn't matter. We have each other. That's enough. Another lie. I stood up. Tears were already falling, but my voice came out stronger than I expected. A burden? Who paid for 2/3 of this house? Who sent Sienna to London for 4 years? Who sat beside both of you in hospitals every time one of you was sick? I never once threw those things in your face. But that doesn't mean they didn't happen. Mrs. Beatrice blinked once, almost surprised, then recovered with a sneer. "Where's the proof, darling? The deed is in Julian's name. You gave that money voluntarily. Now you want to play victim? Shameless." She turned to her son. "Julian, get her out. Her presence is dirtying my son's future." He didn't hesitate. He grabbed my upper arm, not violently, but firmly, and marched me toward the front door. My pre-packed suitcase, the one I had prepared during the last month of cold silences, was already waiting in the foyer. He threw it onto the porch. Then he pushed me, not hard enough to bruise, just hard enough to make me stumble into the rain. The iron gate began to close with a mechanical whine. Mrs. Beatrice appeared at the doorway, holding my old market tote, the faded cotton bag I used to carry vegetables from the farmer's market. She hurled it toward me. It landed in a puddle with a wet slap. "Take your trash and disappear. Don't ever let me see your face again." The door slammed. The gate locked. The rain doubled in strength. I sat on the wet stone steps, letting water soak through my blouse, my hair, my skin. I didn't cry anymore. The tears had nowhere left to go. I just stared at the closed gate like it might reopen if I looked long enough. Eventually, maybe 30 minutes, maybe 90. Curiosity or despair or simple muscle. Memory made me reach for the sodden tote bag. I expected old t-shirts, maybe a pair of worn sneakers they wanted to humiliate me with. Instead, my fingers closed around something stiff and new. A dark blue savings passbook. I opened it under the weak light of a street lamp. Account holder, Maya von Lockwood. Balance, 20,000. $20 million. My lungs forgot how to work. Under the passbook lay a clear plastic sleeve. Inside, a property deed. Address, 27, West Paces Ferry Road, Buckhead, Atlanta. Owner, Maya von Lockwood only. Purchase, all cash, completed 6 months earlier. My mind blanked. Buckhead, one of the most expensive zip codes in the Southeast. A street where ambassadors and CEOs live. A house I had never set foot in. At the very bottom of the bag, a cheap Nokia, burner phone, and a folded letter taped to its back. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped everything into the puddle. I tore the envelope. The handwriting was unmistakable. Mrs. Beatrice's careful, slanted cursive. "Maya, my daughter, when you read this, you will probably hate me. You will hate all of us. I am sorry. I am so very sorry for every cruel word I spoke today, for every wound I helped inflict. But please believe me when I say it was all an act. A terrible, heartbreaking performance I had to play in order to protect you. I discovered Julian's and Sienna's true faces more than 18 months ago. Your husband has not only been unfaithful, he has been systematically embezzling from your own company, together with his mistress and with help from inside. Sienna encouraged him. She saw you as an obstacle to the lifestyle she now believes she deserves. They planned to drain your accounts, then divorce you with nothing. If I had confronted them openly, they would have moved faster and covered their tracks better. So I chose the only path left. I became the villain they expected. I stood beside them. I insulted you. I helped them believe I was on their side. Only then could I buy time to move money and property into your name where they can never touch it. The 20 million is everything. I have my lifetime savings plus proceeds from selling family land in secret. The Buckhead estate is yours, bought quietly 6 months ago. Julian can never claim it. Today, I broke my own heart throwing you into the street, but I had to make them believe you were truly destroyed. Only then will they relax. Only then can we gather undeniable proof. This phone is clean. Do not use your regular one. They may be monitoring it. Keep acting broken. Keep acting helpless. I will feed you information. We will build the case slowly. When the moment comes, we strike together. Be strong, my daughter. The play has only just begun. With all my love, Mom. I read the letter 3 times. Rain kept falling. My clothes were transparent. My body was shaking from cold and adrenaline. But something inside me, something that had been dying for months, he suddenly sat up and opened its eyes. I was no longer just a discarded wife sitting in a puddle. I was a woman who had just been handed $20 million, a multi-million-dollar mansion, and the love of the one person I thought hated me most. I tucked the passbook, deed, and letter deep inside the soggy tote. I powered on the burner phone, sent one message. I'm safe. Less than 90 seconds later. Good, stay low. They're already celebrating. We begin tomorrow. I stood up. The rain still hurt, but it no longer felt like punishment. It felt like baptism. I dragged my suitcase and the tote to the nearest sheltered bus stop. Opened Google Maps on the burner phone with freezing fingers. Tasha, my old friend from the early boutique days. She lived far out in East Point. No overlap with Julian's or Sienna's glittering new circle. I called her landline, the only number I still remembered by heart. Tasha, it's Maya. I have nowhere to go. Her voice cracked with worry and instant warmth. Lord, girl. Get over here right now. Same address. Doors open. I hung up, wiped rain from my face, and started walking toward the main road to catch a cab. Behind me, the big house lights glowed through the storm, warm, mocking, oblivious. Inside, Julian and Sienna were probably toasting their freedom. They had no idea. The woman they had just thrown into the rain was no longer broken. She was armed. The next 48 hours felt like walking on glass. Every step deliberate. Every breath measured. Tasha's small two-bedroom apartment in East Point became my temporary bunker. It smelled of lemongrass candles and fresh laundry, a sharp contrast to the sterile luxury I had just been expelled from. Tasha didn't pry too much at first. She saw the soaked clothes, the red-rimmed eyes, the single suitcase, and simply wrapped me in a towel, handed me oversized sweats, and brewed ginger tea so strong it burned my tongue in the best way. "Tell me when you're ready," she said that first night, sitting cross-legged on the living room rug. "Or don't. Just know you're not leaving until you're steady on your feet again." I told her the version Mrs. Beatrice's letter had scripted for the world. Julian had grown cold, Sienna had poisoned the well. They threw divorce papers at me, insulted my childlessness, and literally shoved me into the rain with nothing but a torn market, bag, and whatever pity money they felt like tossing. I let real tears fall. They weren't hard to summon. The humiliation still lived under my skin like a fresh bruise. Tasha raged on my behalf. She cursed Julian in ways that would have made sailors blush. She offered to drive over and key his car. She promised I could stay as long as I needed. Her loyalty was a lifeline. But I still kept the $20 million secret locked behind my teeth. The fewer people who knew, the safer the plan remained. That same night, under the thin blanket on Tasha's pull-out couch, I powered on the burner phone again. New message from Mom. That single word still made my chest ache in a completely different way now. "They're moving fast." Julian already met the model tonight. The one, Sienna introduced. Dinner at the St. Regis. Photos are circulating in their circle. Stay invisible. Tomorrow morning, check your company portal. Look for anything strange in the last 6 months. Don't log in from your old phone or laptop. Use public Wi-Fi if you must. I waited until Tasha left for her early shift at the community college library. Then I borrowed her old Chromebook. Connected to the neighbor's unsecured Wi-Fi, forgive me, Mrs. Jenkins, and logged into the secure back end of my boutique chain's financial system. I hadn't touched the day-to-day numbers in almost 2 years. Ever since, I stepped back to focus on being a real wife. Danielle Hollowell, formerly Danielle Lockwood before her divorce, no relation, just cruel coincidence, had been my chief accountant for 5. Quiet, precise, always early with reports. I trusted her implicitly. Big mistake. I pulled transaction logs from the past 18 months. Most looked routine. Vendor payments, marketing spends, payroll. Then I saw them, monthly wires labeled Strategic Consulting and Marketing Services, to an entity called Rising Star LLC. Amounts weren't massive at first. $8,500, $12,000, $9,200, but they were clockwork every 28th of the month. Total over the period, just under $940,000. I searched the Georgia Secretary of State Business Registry. Public record. No login needed. Rising Star LLC. Registered 6 months ago. Registered agent and sole member, Julian Lockwood. My stomach dropped so fast I tasted bile. He hadn't just cheated. He had created a shell company, with my own money, to siphon funds from the business I built from nothing. I screenshotted everything. Saved PDFs, emailed them to a new anonymous Gmail account I created on the spot, then cleared the browser history twice. The burner buzzed. Audio file incoming. I plugged in Tasha's earbuds and pressed play. Julian's voice, smug and relaxed. "Mom, it's done," Maya signed. She left quietly. I even gave her a little going-away money so she wouldn't make a scene. Mrs. Beatrice, perfectly in character. Cold, approving. Good, clean break. Now focus on the future. That girl Sienna introduced, what's her name? The agency director? Chloe. She's perfect. Mom, connected. She can open doors I never even saw. And she wants kids, no drama. A pause, then Mrs. Beatrice, voice flat. Settle the divorce fast. Don't let Maya get ideas about the company. Don't worry. Danielle's handling the paperwork. Everything's documented as legitimate marketing expense. Maya never understood that side anyway. The recording cut. I sat frozen on the couch for a full minute. Danielle was in on it. The woman I had promoted twice. The one I sent flowers to when her mother passed. She had helped my husband rob me blind. Rage came, but I swallowed it. Rage makes you sloppy. I needed cold clarity. I texted back on the burner. Found Rising Star, Danielle involved. Proof saved. What next? Reply almost instant. Perfect. Now play the victim louder. Post something vague and sad on your personal Instagram. Nothing accusatory. Let them think you're crumbling. I'll send more recordings when they talk. We need them overconfident. So I did. That afternoon, I posted a single black square on my Instagram story. The account Julian still followed. I hadn't blocked him yet. Caption: sometimes the person you'd take a bullet for ends up pulling the trigger. Grateful for real friends. Grateful for breath in my lungs. One day at a time. I muted notifications and turned the phone face down. Within an hour, Sienna posted, finally free of dead weight, new chapter, better energy. Grateful for family who actually lifts you up. Photo: her and Julian at a rooftop bar. Champagne flutes raised, city lights glittering behind them. Chloe, the new girlfriend, wasn't in frame yet, but her manicured hand rested on Julian's knee in the corner of the shot. Comments flooded in. Queen energy. You deserve the world, Sienna. Julian looking happy? I stared at the screen until my eyes burned. Then I closed the app and started planning. 2 days later, I took the MARTA train to my mother's house in Decatur. No warning. Just showed up at her door with red eyes and the truth. Mama Ruth opened the door in her housecoat, saw my face, and pulled me inside without a word. We sat at her kitchen table, the same one where she used to help me with algebra, and I told her everything. The divorce, the insults, the bag, the 20 million, the Buckhead deed, the letter, the embezzlement, Mrs. Beatrice's double game. When I finished, she didn't cry. She just reached across the table and held both my hands so tight my knuckles went white. My baby girl, she whispered. You carried so much alone. Then her voice hardened. But you're not alone anymore. That afternoon, she called an old friend, Mr. Harlan Ashford, a silver-haired divorce and fraud attorney who had once helped her neighbor win back a house from an abusive ex. We met him in his midtown office at 4 p.m. He looked like a retired Southern gentleman, seersucker suit, bow tie, calm gray eyes. But when he started reading the documents, I spread across his conference table, those eyes sharpened like switchblades. He flipped through bank statements, the deed, the letter, screenshots of Rising Star filings. After 20 silent minutes, he closed the folder. You have more than enough for an airtight divorce with full asset recovery, he said. You also have enough for felony embezzlement charges against Julian, fraud against Danielle, and potentially conspiracy charges against Sienna, if we can prove she knowingly encouraged it. He leaned forward. The real question, Maya, how far do you want to go? I thought of Julian's cold, sign it. Mrs. Beatrice's rehearsed cruelty, now understood as sacrifice. Sienna's gloating post. I want justice, I said. Not revenge, justice, whatever the law allows. Mr. Ashford nodded once. Good. Then we play the long game. You continue looking destroyed. Social media, mutual friends, everything. Let them relax. I'll file quiet discovery motions through the divorce proceeding. We'll subpoena company records. We'll get affidavits from employees if needed. And we wait for them to make a mistake, because greedy people always do. He paused. One more thing. That mother-in-law of yours. She's either the best actress in Atlanta, or she loves you more than her own children. Either way, keep her close. She's your ace. I left the office feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Direction. Back at Tasha's that evening, another audio arrived. This time, Julian and Danielle on speakerphone. Danielle panicked. Maya's lawyer sent a formal request for 2 years of books and invoices. They're sniffing around the marketing line items. Julian, irritated but still cocky. Relax, everything's clean on paper. Just make sure the hard copies of those Rising Star contracts disappear. Shred them. Wipe the digital backups. By the time they audit, it'll be a ghost file. Danielle. And if they recover deleted data? Julian. They won't. Maya doesn't know how any of this works. Do it tonight. I'll wire you the bonus we talked about when it's done. The recording ended. I forwarded it to Mr. Ashford immediately. His reply. Destruction of evidence and felony enhancement. Keep this phone charged. We're getting closer. I lay on the pull-out couch that night, staring at the ceiling fan. They thought I was finished. They thought I was small. They thought I was stupid. They were wrong. And soon, very soon, they would learn exactly how wrong. The performance continued, but the curtain was rising faster than they knew. Sienna's birthday. Party at the Ritz-Carlton was billed as the event of the season. Gold foil invitations. Live jazz quartet. A 5-tier rose gold cake flown in from Paris. Guest list. Atlanta's new money influencers. Julian's real estate colleagues. Sienna's curated London friends. And Chloe, the model-turned-agency director, now officially, on Julian's arm in every photo. They wanted spectacle. They got a reckoning. I spent the 2 weeks leading up to it in quiet preparation. Mr. Ashford had already filed the divorce. Petition with explosive discovery requests attached, phrased innocently as routine asset division inquiries. Danielle panicked exactly as predicted. She spent 3 frantic nights shredding paper trails and running delete commands on the company server. What she didn't know was that I had authorized silent forensic software installation weeks earlier through a discreet IT consultant Mr. Ashford recommended. Every keystroke, every file wipe, time-stamped and backed up to an encrypted cloud only we controlled. Mrs. Beatrice fed me daily updates via burner texts. Julian just bought Chloe a 18K bracelet. Sienna's speech is ready. She plans to thank her. Supportive big brother for removing obstacles. They're toasting to new beginnings every night. I let the messages fuel me without burning me. The night of the party, I stood in Tasha's tiny bathroom, mirror, and looked at the woman staring back. No more hollow eyes, no more hunched shoulders. Simple black column dress, elegant, not flashy. Hair in a sleek updo, red lipstick, the exact shade of fresh blood. I looked like someone who had already won. Mama Ruth drove me downtown. Mrs. Beatrice arrived separately in a plain gray coat, blending into the crowd like hired help. Mr. Ashford waited in the hotel lobby with 2 notaries in plain suits carrying slim briefcases full of certified copies. At 7:58 p.m., we took the service elevator to the ballroom level. Inside, the room glittered. Crystal chandeliers, champagne towers, Sienna in shimmering quartz pink sequins, microphone in hand, mid-speech. And I owe so much of who I am today to my incredible brother Julian. He taught me that sometimes you have to let go of what no longer serves you to make space for real magic, to new chapters, new love, new power. The lights dimmed for the highlight reel video she had prepared. That was our cue. I walked through the double doors alone first. Slow, deliberate steps. Heads turned. Whispers rippled like wind across water. Maya? Is that her? She looks different. Julian spotted me from the stage. His champagne flute froze halfway to his lips. Sienna's smile cracked like thin ice. I didn't rush. I crossed the room, climbed the 3 shallow steps to the stage, took the microphone from the stunned MC, and spoke into perfect silence. Good evening. For those who don't know me, or who have been told a particular version of events, my name is Maya von Lockwood. I am still Julian Lockwood's legal wife. Tonight, on this beautiful occasion celebrating family and new beginnings, I thought it only fair to offer my own small gift, the truth. I nodded to the AV technician Mr. Ashford had pre-positioned. The lights dropped completely. The giant screen behind me lit up. No glamorous vacation photos, no birthday montage. First frame, a faded photo of the old Alabama house before we rebuilt it, sagging roof, peeling paint. Text overlay, where it all began. A parasite wife's money. Cut to bank transfers, hundreds of thousands from my accounts to Julian's parents, to Sienna's London University. Text, $480,000 for a new home for in-laws. 4 years of tuition, rent, living expenses for sister-in-law. All from the useless barren wife. Murmurs grew louder. Next, corporate filings. Rising Star LLC documents. Wire transfers from my company totaling 938,142 yen. Fake invoices. Fake contracts. Text. How a devoted husband thanks his wife. By creating a shell company to steal nearly $1 million. Photos followed. Julian and Chloe in Milan, Dubai, Miami, hotel lobbies, private jets. Text. New opportunities. New circles. New girlfriend. Funded by the old wife's business. The final segment, the audio recording of Julian and Danielle. Shred them. Wipe the backups. Maya doesn't know how any of this works. The room erupted. Screams, gasps, phones raised to record. Chloe dropped her clutch. It clattered across the marble. Sienna tried to grab the microphone. I stepped aside calmly and let her flail. Julian lunged toward the stage. Mr. Ashford and the notaries blocked him smoothly. 2 hotel security guards appeared, summoned earlier by Ashford's quiet call. I spoke one last time, voice steady over the chaos. Justice may be slow, but it always arrives. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I set the microphone down, walked off the stage, took Mrs. Beatrice's hand, and left through a side door while the room burned behind us. The video, recorded by multiple guests, hit social media before we reached the parking garage. By midnight, it had 1.2 million views. The fallout was biblical. Julian's company suspended him within hours. Partners pulled contracts. The board issued a public statement distancing themselves. Chloe vanished from Atlanta. Within 48 hours, rumor said she took the last of the unrecovered, embezzled funds and boarded a flight to Dubai. Police opened a fraud investigation the next morning. Julian and Danielle were served. Warrants at 7 a.m. travel bans issued immediately. Mrs. Beatrice and I disappeared to Hilton Head for 10 days.
White sand, salt air.
Long walks where neither of us spoke much. We were both healing. Her from the guilt of playing the villain. Me from the wound of believing I was worthless. On the last evening, she took my hands on the balcony. "I have something else to tell you, daughter." She explained about Vega Real Estate Group, the quiet empire her own father had built, which she had run in secret for decades while pretending to be a simple country wife. She had watched her children grow greedy. She had tested them. They failed. I, the outsider who treated her with genuine kindness, passed. "I'm old, Maya. I want to retire. The chair is yours. Take it. Build something better than I ever did." I accepted. The announcement hit the business wires like a thunderclap. Maya Von Lockwood, the woman at the center of Atlanta's largest recent fraud scandal, named chairwoman of Vega Real Estate Group. Julian's remaining friends laughed bitterly. Sienna deleted every post. The public flipped the narrative overnight. From poor pitiful ex-wife to Phoenix. The trial came 6 months later. Julian, 15 years. Danielle, 7 years. Sienna, 3 years probation, plus full restitution. I didn't attend. There was nothing left to witness. Years passed in quiet triumph. Vega grew under my hand. Ethical projects, women-led developments, community housing initiatives. The Magnolia Foundation became a national force for female entrepreneurs. I met Adrian, kind, steady pediatrician raising his daughter alone. We married on a Savannah beach at sunset. Imani called me mom without hesitation. Later came Malachi, our son, completing the circle. One afternoon, years later, Sienna appeared at my office. Thin, tired, repentant. I gave her not forgiveness on a silver platter, but a door. An accounting position at a Magnolia Foundation shelter. Low pay, hard work, real redemption if she chose it. She took it. Julian's parents eventually came begging at my mother's door. I sent help, quietly, because hate is too heavy to carry forever. Mrs. Beatrice passed peacefully in her sleep, surrounded by grandchildren holding my hand. At her funeral, I whispered, "Thank you, Mom. You saved me, and then you trusted me to save myself." Today, I sit on the porch of the Buckhead estate, now loud with grandchildren's laughter. Watching the sun set over Atlanta, I think of that rainy night, the torn bag, the letter, the 20 million that was never about money. It was about love disguised as cruelty, about sacrifice disguised as betrayal, about a mother who chose the harder path to protect the daughter she chose. I no longer mourn the 7 years I lost. I celebrate the life I built from their ashes. The phoenix doesn't ask why it burned. It simply rises, brighter, stronger, and finally free. And that, my friends, is where the story ends, and where real living begins. Thank you for following this journey with me. Much love.